Good morning. My name is John Bacon, and I'm a worship associate of this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. Integrity has been defined as making your actions meet your words. This is sort of a entry-level definition, if you will. Merriam-Webster and their ilk add the notion of living to a moral code, one that fosters wholeness. This is like the notion of shalom, which we have been exploring for the last several months. Indeed, when it's applied to a physical object like a ship, the notion of integrity means it's fully ready to serve, free from defects. This house includes people with diverse belief systems. We have people with earth-centered, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, humanist, and many other faith traditions. We have deists and theists, agnostics and atheists, and people who can't easily be categorized. Personally, I'm sort of a Buddhist, Christian, Stoic UU. And like me, many of us have beliefs extracted from multiple spiritual practices. In this house, we have people from most of the LGBTQ and yes, S spectrum. This is not this congregation of the arbitrary and capricious, words that have gained new relevance in our society in the last months. This is the congregation of the discerning, the thoughtful, and the active. We gather here for a multitude of reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal truths, to question, to nurture heart and soul, to be nurtured, to explore new ideas, to find comfort, and perhaps to find the answers to some of our more significant questions. You are welcome here, no matter who you are, where you're from, or whom you love. We especially welcome guests who are worshiping with us for the first time. Today, whether you're in person or online, if you would like more information about who we are, we invite you to fill out one of these extremely handy-dandy cards and put it in the collection plate, or you can use the very high-tech QR code on the back, or simply go to the website and send us an email to find out more about us. We're about to enter into sacred space, so please take a moment to silence your phones, watches, and other noise-making devices. Today, our chalice lighter is Jonathan Pepkin, and Jonathan is going to be the leader of the Earth-Centered Spirituality group this year, as well as part of the joyful duo that holds a monthly game night at their house every first Sunday of the month. Please follow along with me in the responsive reading for chalice lighting this day. For every time we make a mistake and we decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and we let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose to hope, we light this chalice.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Randy Partain. My pronouns are they, them, and I am delighted to be with you in worship today, whether you are here in person or joining us online. I invite you to hear these words from Lois van Leer as we enter into sacred space. Let go. Let go of all that binds you, of all that burdens you, of what you carry, of all that shames you, of fear, of trespasses and transgressions, of woundedness. Let go of guilt. Let go of anger. Let go of small-mindedness and pettiness, of ways of being that no longer serve you, of compulsions that consume your living. Let go of what you cannot change. Let go of regret, of that which haunts you. Let go of pain. Let go of ways in which you missed the mark. Let go. And perhaps Lois will forgive us if there are things we cannot quite let go of, that we might continue to wrestle with in this space together in the context of safe and brave community. We are going to sing together, Who Can Say? The lyrics are in your order of service because we've added a verse. I hope that the tune is familiar and singable to you, but if you really want to open up your hymnal and look at the notes, it's number 218. But again, the lyrics are in your order of service. Before we sing, I invite you to take a moment and greet the people around you. Let them know you are welcome here. We bring a lot of things into this community together. And before the service, I know a lot of people were placing stones in the water to represent joys or concerns that they carry into this space. If you're joining us online, I invite you to put any joys or concerns you want to share with the congregation in the comments so that we might share in those joys and concerns with you. If you're here in person, the invitation is always there to write any joys or concerns you have in the book that sits here next to the bowl of water. And so today we have several things to acknowledge. Meg Pauken, Kevin Ortner, and family mourn the loss of their beloved brother-in-law and uncle, Kenneth Hoffman. Kenneth's funeral will be held on Monday, October 13th. A stone of care for Meg and Kevin and all those close to Kenneth. We also have a stone of celebration as we wish happy birthday to Kristen von Cronenberg. Happy birthday, Kristen. And once again, Susan Bagby and daughters and friends mourn the loss of Dick Bagby on September 10th after a courageous battle with cancer. A memorial service will be held in late fall for Dick. Our care for Susan and daughters and all of those close to Dick Bagby. And it's okay to put another stone in for Kristen. Gratitude for Kristen. 83 circles around the sun today. I'm not sure what this word is, but it looks like somebody's giving your age away, and I'm sorry for that. And a stone of care for 33-year-old niece Hallie's breast cancer being treated and curable. Oh, this is celebration. 33-year-old niece Hallie's breast cancer is treatable and curable, and we celebrate that. I invite you into a moment of reflection or prayer. Spirit of love and life, Goddess, God, we know by many names, animate force that moves through us, within us, around us. Draw us in to a center of liberating love today. With all that happens in the world around us, with the actions that seem intended to spark our fear, with words that seem intended to make us feel helpless. May we be reminded of our strength with one another in community here today, our capability to make change in our lives and in the world around us, the power of our mutual celebration and joyfulness, the transformative power of our mutual joy. The power of our joy. And in sharing all of these facets of life together, may we find strength in community, that our burdens might be lessened, and that our joys might be magnified and magnified and magnified. Amen, and blessed be.
Good morning. My name is Jenny Papp. I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Development for this congregation. It's lovely to be here with you all today. Good morning, my dear. Good morning. We have been talking about our word, our promises that we've been making. And today, I'm going to talk some more about that and honoring. And what do we do? And how do we honor our word? And what do we do when that's difficult? Because it is difficult sometimes. I have a jar. This jar, I'm going to imagine it's like a promise that we make. It holds the promise of things like cookies, maybe. But in this jar, we have the promises, our word that we give to something, like peace or love. You may have given your word to something recently very intentionally and thought about those things. And so this holds our word. When we first make a promise, these are candles I put in here for those of you way in the back. So when we first make a promise, it can feel really bright and clear. We know what we mean, and we know what we intend to do. And we're filled with really good intentions. But promises, they're more than about just this moment of saying yes. Last week we said yes a bunch of times. So here, we're bringing it right back around. They're about showing up again and again. Sometimes our word, our integrity, it takes more than one light to keep it alive. It might take the support of community. It might take that others to help us remember why we made that promise in the first place. And yet, no matter how strong our promises are and what our intentions may be, sometimes we falter. We make mistakes. We forget. The light grows dim. Gets a little dimmer and dimmer. But a promise isn't over when we stumble. We can bring fresh breath. Whether that fresh breath comes from our community who helps us support that promise, whether we wake up on a day that gives us fresh breath and new perspective, honesty about where we hold and how we hold our promise, forgiveness, repair can bring fresh breath into our promise. And then that light can go strong again and again, and it happens more than once. Our word is not about never failing. It's about returning again and again and again to what we promised. They remind us, these candles, that our word lives in relationships. When one light wavers, perhaps another can carry it forward. Sometimes our light goes out, and another can rekindle it. When we go dim, a breath of renewal can restore those things. So our work is not to be perfect. It is to aspire to be the light, and then return and repair and return and repair and recommit. So let these lights help you remember that for this morning. Thank you for sharing with me today.
My Recovery Day is a nonprofit whose mission is to develop and provide support resources for individuals recovering from addiction, giving them the help and hope they need for recovery. With this mission in mind, they reach out to the struggling individual and let them know that recovery is possible. You can have fun even without that which you were addicted to. And there is community to support you. In doing this, they provide family education for those families who need to support the recovering individual, a jobs program to help them be more suited to going back into the workplace, and a recovery bank with goods and furniture to help them on their way, perhaps having lost many things in the way down. They're a recurring recipient of our collection plate, and unlike many, they actually contact us to tell us what they're doing with the money. For those of you who might be interested, you can tune in to a jam session that they're having November 8th at the Rock Hall. There's limited tickets, but you can also tune in online with a live broadcast. And with the backing of strong partners, recovery organizations, and musicians, this year's efforts will have a wider reach, touching the lives of even more individuals across every state. They're going to work for a stigma-free, supporting, and thriving recovery community. The event at the Rock Hall is going to feature sober musicians playing music live and delivering messages of hope from their own experience. Please give generously within your means. Thank you. You can also deliver cash directly into the plate, or use a Cash App or Zelle to contribute. UUCC, Cleveland, more in your worship order of service. At One by Victoria Stafford. Imagine this. On the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, every fall, every year, the people make their peace with anyone they have wronged or slighted or injured or in any way neglected in the past 12 months. The task is not to patch things up, smooth things over, reach a compromise, or sweep mistakes under the rug. The task is not to feel better. The task is ownership. The goal is truth for its own redemptive sake. I did this. I said this to you and it was wrong. I neglected this. I botched this. I betrayed you thusly. I demeaned you whether you knew it or not. This is the truth in which both of us are living. I ask you to forgive me. Imagine how many deep breaths you would need to take. Imagine how many doors you would need to knock on, how many phone calls you would have to make, how many letters, how many lunches and coffees, how many awkward moments with your children and your parents, and with strangers, that cashier to whom you spoke so sharply. Awkward is irrelevant. The task is not about comfort, it's about truth, about wholeness and holiness, restoration. Imagine this. Someone has been preparing all year to speak with you, to write to you, to ask you a hard question. Perhaps in some way, not quite conscious, you've even known this and you've been preparing too. Finally, you answer the door or the phone or open the letter with shaky hands, and there it is. What you thought you'd been longing for but really have dreaded. Someone is asking for your forgiveness. The task is not about comfort, it is about truth. Awkward is irrelevant. You get to choose now. You have to choose whether and how you will participate in restoration. Abandon the pleasant piety that claims knee-jerk forgiveness as the unquestioned moral course. You get to choose which way will be right in this case between you as persons and with all your gods. What response will you make the world more whole? Imagine something yearns in us to come round right, something creaky, rusty, heavy, almost calcified within us, tries, in spite of us and in spite of all our fears and self-deceptions, to turn and creak and turn again and come round a little truer. Something in us stretches towards conversion. Imagine healing wholly from within.
So here we are at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. What even is that? What is the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland? I'm getting blank stares. We're not doing a great job, adults. What is this place? A community? Sure, yeah. It is a reconciliation, yeah. This congregation is a reconciliation of two other communities, the Unitarian Society and the First Unitarian Church of Cleveland. We could be a lot of things. Yeah, Kelly? In a way, we're the oldest and the youngest at the same time. Yeah, this Unitarian community has been around for a long time. Some people, yeah? A home. Yeah. Say it one more time. A sanctuary. Yeah. A place of acceptance. A welcoming congregation. Yeah. Part of a lifelong learning and growing plan. It's so hard for us to say the word church, isn't it? Yes. One more time. A safe space. Yeah. Yeah. A holy place. And if we were a different kind of place, we might give our word to different things, but because we are all of these things, it matters what we give our word to. If we were a classical music society, we might give our word to having a certain number of performances every year. We might give our word to the quality of those performances. We might give our word to things that really clarified what that meant. But because we are a different kind of community, a holy place, a safe place, a place where spirituality is our priority, we give our word to different things. Do you remember what we give our word to as a part of being that community that you've described? We didn't say it as a chalice lighting today. Say it again. Our covenant, yeah. Do you remember the pieces of it? You don't have to memorize the words, but just what do we say we're going to do? Listen well, yep. Which I didn't just do, maybe, but love. Reconcile. Yeah, we're going to cultivate trust with one another. We're going to do those things that build trust. We're going to listen well. We're going to speak cleanly. We're going to forgive and make amends when we get it wrong. And we say we're a Unitarian Universalist congregation, which also puts all of that in another context with other people that say that they are Unitarian Universalist. We give our word to a framework of promises. We say we give our word to protect earth and all her beings from exploitation. We give our word to create and nurture sustainable relationships of repair, mutuality, and justice. Those are because we value our interdependence. We give our word to learn from one another, not to make one another wrong, not to correct one another, but to actually learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning, because we value pluralism. We give our word to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression, because we value justice. We give our word to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically, because we value that sense of transformation, never arriving, never having all the answers, never being complete. We give our word to freely and compassionately share our faith, our presence, and our resources, because we value generosity. And we give our word to use our time, our wisdom, our attention, and our money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities, because we value equity. Along with all other Unitarian Universalist congregations, those are things that we give our word to. We give our word to big things. We don't give our word to easy things that we know we can do without really trying. We give our word to aspirational things. We give our word to things we can't yet accomplish. Sometimes we even say it in poetic phrases like, to make all earth whole and all her people one. But even that doesn't seem like something we can do. We certainly can't do it alone. And of course, everything that we give our word to might not be rooted in those values. Sometimes we give our word to things because we feel anxious about the way things are going. We give our word to showing up in a way that is protective, ways that don't necessarily reflect our values, ways that might not have the kind of integrity that John was talking about earlier. If I give my word to take up all of the space and not share it because I'm afraid there won't be enough space for me if I don't take it all up, I might follow through on that commitment, and it wouldn't really be based in my values. If I give my word to take up all of the lanes of the highway, I might not even be safe in doing that. But we give our word to some strange things sometimes. So at our water ceremony a few weeks ago, you had the opportunity to renounce some of those protective promises, those promises that we made in our first formation when we were young, when we gave our word to stay safe in a certain way, or to be acceptable, or to be lovable in a way that we felt like we needed to at that time. But those promises don't really serve us in the long run. So we had an opportunity to renounce those things and to give our word to something new, to give our word to something that was rooted in our values, to give our word to something that helped clarify what we want to guide us now. So, have you kept your word? Have you kept your word impeccably in the last few weeks? Or are you human? Because as human beings, when we give our word to big things, inevitably, we fall a little bit short. I'm just curious, how many of you shared the commitment that you made, the thing that you gave your word to with a committee at the beginning of a committee meeting, or with your covenant group or something like that? How many of you shared the thing you gave your word to in our water ceremony with other people? A couple of hands. Okay. See, now I know why it was so difficult to keep your word. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. That's okay. I think a lot of times we feel a certain amount of shame when we haven't kept our word. And I think it's beautiful that our Jewish siblings have this practice every year of saying, let me reflect on the year and let me clean up whatever messes need to be cleaned up. That's what Yom Kippur is about. It's about taking stock and cleaning up the messes that we have made so that they don't just hang out there forever. I have a sense that if you spoke to many rabbis in this area, they would tell you it's not really supposed to be just one day where you spend it cleaning up your messes. It's supposed to encourage a practice, a way of being, a way of living in relationships, so that we don't have that much to clean up when that Day of Atonement comes around, because we've done the work over the course of the year. So this isn't really about shame at not keeping our word. The mistakes that we make along the way are opportunities to learn and grow in integrity. And one of the best ways to grow our integrity muscles is to consistently practice honoring our word when we haven't been able to keep our word. And we've talked about this before, but there are 4 things we can do. The first one, we have to acknowledge that we didn't keep our word. We have to acknowledge that it didn't go the way that we said it was going to go, that we didn't show up the way that we said we were going to show up. We have to acknowledge, I said I was going to be here at 9 o'clock, and I was here at 9:15, and I left you waiting. Rather than just breeze in and sit down and do our thing and pretend like nobody was expecting us 15 minutes ago, everything is fine. Nobody's going to draw attention to it. It's just 15 minutes. Everything is fine. I don't have to even acknowledge that I did something different than what I said I would do. And once we're willing to acknowledge it and just be honest, we can get present to the impact that it had. What does it mean that I didn't show up when I said I would? What does it mean that I didn't cultivate trust by honoring the people in this room with me? What does it mean that I didn't share freely all that I have with the people who need it around me? What's the impact of me not keeping my word in that way? We might have to ask some other people Or we might reflect on it ourselves. I might ask someone, was it really difficult for you to sit here for those 15 minutes? Were you worried? Were you concerned? Because I didn't mean to worry you. We might get present to the impact of not keeping our word. And then we can offer a sincere apology. Not all of the reasons why, and not the minimizing of it was just 15 minutes, or that was just one comment that I made that dehumanized you. It was just that one thing that I said. Not it was just that one time when I slammed the door and was so angry that I didn't apologize. But just to say I'm sorry. We get honest that we didn't keep our word. We get present to the impact, and then we just apologize. And the fourth step is we recommit. We take a look at what we've given our word to, and we say, I meant this when I said it. I'm going to follow through on this. This matters to me. Or we say, I am never going to be able to show up at 9 o'clock. I can show up at 9:15 consistently. I can give my word to that. But that thing I thought I could do, I realize that's not really possible for me. And I need to be honest about that now. We get honest that we didn't keep our word. We get present to the impact. We apologize. And then we make a sincere commitment of what is possible for us, what we're going to give our word to moving forward. And this is not something that we can do all by ourselves. It was really interesting listening to that Victoria Safford reading about how does it feel when you receive the apology to be a part of restoration, rather than just say, oh, it's okay, no, it's fine. Let's not have this difficult conversation. This feels uncomfortable. This apology feels a little risky. I'm just going to say it's fine. You just, get yourself some coffee and sit down and we'll talk about other things, because this is, me forgiving you feels really uncomfortable right now. Can we just ignore it and move on? There's that side of it too. How do we receive with honesty someone's apology that says, yeah, that hurt me. That really wasn't okay. You're right. And yes, we can move forward. Absolutely, we can move forward from here. That's powerful. So that mental model that you have in the pew racks, it's framed a little different way in the insert that you have, but that mental model of those three different pieces is a part of this whole process of repair. It's really interesting. There was just a study done, a peer-reviewed study that came out about self-forgiveness, and it said that self-forgiveness is not a moment. It's not a thing that happens at a particular time in a particular moment. Self-forgiveness happens over time in the context of a community of people, of other people affirming that, and it happens because we're able to reflect on what it is that we're forgiving ourselves for. It's our mental model, and they just came out with a study that demonstrated how it works. We have to be able to reflect in our lives. We have to give ourselves time to live into something new, and we need a community of people supporting that process. And this happens, if we're willing, in little simple ways. I was with one of our committees recently, and we had made a decision as staff, and we hadn't really checked in with the committee. And one of the committee members said, Randy, I really wish that we had been a part of that conversation. And I thought, yep, that's right. That's absolutely right. We wanted to be a collaborative team, and we went charging ahead and did this thing, and we didn't really have the conversation. I'm sorry for that. And can we circle back now and continue to explore this? This is what our treasurer, Justin Hunsaker, calls a two-way door. We can move back through this if we don't like the way that this is going. We can revisit it and make a new decision. And that brought, I hope, reconciliation back into that process so that we can move forward in a way that is collaborative in the way that we want it to be. But that piece about being willing to see what the impact was, how did that feel when I left you out of that decision? That's an easy piece to skip over. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world. But I think getting present to the impact of us not keeping our word is the thing that helps us keep our word better in the future. What happens when we don't keep our word as Unitarian Universalists to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation? What happens as a result of us not keeping that promise? What happens as a result of us not creating safe and brave space for one another here? What are the consequences of us not doing that? When we recognize those consequences, that really difficult, painful part of it, it helps us understand how much it means for us to give and keep our word. And so these three parts of this mental model, again, a mental model is just a way of thinking about things. But they kind of confront a mental model that